Here's my audience. Am I showing them?
Yeah.
Okay. So today I will be talking about mental health of collegiate athletes and what they struggle with. Imagine balancing all of the hard work in school, on the court, on the field, any type of athletic event you are participating in, as well as all of the academics, the pressure, the stress, and everything you have to balance at the same time. Mental health is extremely overlooked in collegiate athletes, and I know from personal experience and being friends with athletes and being on many different teams, it definitely deserves a lot more attention. I conducted a survey of 13 of my classmates, and almost 90% of them had played a collegiate sport, and 60% of them weren't familiar with the challenges that they face day to day mentally. We're going to take a look at this problem. There are many demands of being a collegiate athlete, which is the sport itself, which is super stressful, school, traveling for the sport, workouts, and on top of that, some even balance having a job. With this, there's really no time for self-care, as in just relaxing for a little bit, taking the time to potentially see a therapist, talking to friends, having a social life. There's not too much time for that. According to the NCAA, student athletes spend over 40 hours per week on their sport alone. This is not including academics, their job if they have one, working on their own if they prefer to do that, and seeing tutors, whatever you need academically, as well as spending time with your family, which is also overlooked. This leads to the mental health struggles they face. Anxiety, stress, burnout, and the fear of not performing well, as well as the pressure of performing well, is some of the biggest challenges they struggle with. The survey I conducted said that 9 out of 13 students in my class agreed that college athletes experience very high pressure. The National Institute of Mental Health reports that young adults are at high risk of anxiety disorders. This is due to all of the struggles, the stress they face. Some athletes may go through burnout, which is I would say it's kind of being overwhelmed with everything, like academically, school-wise, and all of that tied together. We're going to take a look at some of the causes. Some of the causes are the coaches in general, which coaches put a lot of pressure on students to perform well academically, as well as have them be expected to do their own time in the gym and make sure they're always available for practices, games, and just be available. There's also the pressure to perform well, which is, I would say, mainly put on, in my case, like the starter athletes and who is expected to perform well. If you, for example, if you average 10 points a game, you're almost expected to perform well. And if you undermine that and you have a bad day, it might put a little bit of strain on your mental health. Scholarship opportunities is huge in high school and at the JUCO level like myself. As of right now, I'm going through this whole scholarship process, trying to find a 4-year level school where I can continue to play basketball but also get help financially to continue playing basketball and continue my academics. Teammates can also be a huge part of the cause of mental health. Sometimes your teammates might not get along. Sometimes you can struggle to get help from your teammates, and sometimes you just might not have the best relationship with them. I've been on both sides. I've had phenomenal relationships with teammates. They're like my best friends for life. And I've also had somewhat hard relationships with some of my teammates. We didn't get along too well, and I can see how it takes a toll mentally. School expectations also are a big cause. Athletes are required to maintain over a certain GPA to remain eligible, but at the same time, coaches can also require you to have a higher standard than that to get playing time or even be considered part of the team. So the school expectation goes a long way. If you're not performing well academically, it can result to something worse or a problem on the court. And there's also huge pressure to succeed in general. Everyone wants to win. Everyone wants to get better. And sometimes you might just be having a bad day, and the coaches, your fans, your teammates will put that pressure on you to succeed and do well. The survey conducted had multiple students say that the biggest stressors are the school, part of it, which is academics, performing well, doing good on your exams, and time management. Time management is super hard as a collegiate athlete. Jumping from high school to college is a huge difference. You have not as many classes per day, but they're much more lengthier. Homework can take longer than some of your classes. It can exceed up to 2 hours of homework. Exams are a lot more heftier. They can take a majority of your grade, and they need a lot more focus than your typical tests in high school, as well as, like I mentioned earlier, the 40 plus hours of work on your sport alone. According to the American College Health Association, many college students report feeling overwhelmed by responsibilities, which is the academic part of it, family, friends, personal life, work, everything. Everything plays part of it. And the cause of all these mental health is also like the lack of time, like I had just mentioned. There's not much time. You almost have some student athletes have mentioned how they have no time for themselves. They don't have much time to spend with family, go back home. Some athletes are traveling across the world to spend their academic time. And there's not much time to relax. And their mental health overall has been ignored. There's a huge stigma about the fear of looking weak for a lot of college athletes. They're scared of the judgment because they're almost viewed to see they want to be mentally tough, as you would. And in the survey I conducted, 6 people were unlikely to seek for any type of help. And the research from the NCAA shows that many student athletes hesitate to reach out for mental health because they have a fear of being judged. So let's focus on what we can do. The actions we can take, there are a lot of little actions and there are big actions at the same time. Many people know a student athlete or a student athlete themselves, whether it's family, a friend, or an old teammate of some sort. And I advise and would advocate for you to reach out to some of your friends who are balancing that double life, if you would. Some of them just need people to ask if they're okay, kind of check up on them, kind of normalize the conversation of mental health. Sometimes they just need someone friendly to talk to. They need more rest and their pressure reduced. They need a lot more. As of recently, there have been some actions made for all the schools to have required mental health check-ins and things like that. But we also need to reduce the stigma and make sure that there isn't really much of a stigma on student athletes to be afraid, because student athletes shouldn't be afraid to ask for help. In conclusions, as athletes face stress, burnout, and anxiety, and some of the causes are the pressure to perform, time management, and the stigma that a lot of athletes face due to mental health. We can help by supporting these collegiate athletes, starting conversations about mental health, and providing a lot more resources. Any conversation about it and just checking in would help so much, a lot more than you would think. Mental health is just as important as physical health and needs a lot more attention. Thank you.